We got a test tomorrow. Test will be very similar to what you see on your study guide that's in front of you, your practice test. In fact, some of the questions will be the same question. I'll just change the numbers a little bit, change your answer choices a little bit to match them if they're multiple choice or whatever. So that's a good thing because you'll be very familiar with the questions, but also don't just go home and like memorize the answers to the study guide and think it'll be the same. Because some of the questions, the questions will be different. And the answers will be different. So, even though they'll look very similar. Okay? All right, so here we go. Let's do this. We're going to work through this sucker. All right, number one, express the repeating decimal 0.3 repeating as a fraction. I'm going to go ahead and show work on all these. Even though some of them, you guys, when they're multiple choice, you like to just choose an answer and move on. I am going to show work on them. It's always a good idea to show work on a test. So 0.3 repeating is my decimal. Say let x equal 0.3 repeating.
On to point 10.
Since it's one digit that repeats, we'll multiply everything by 10. So that is 10x equals 3.3 repeating.
Minus x.
We're going to subtract the original values. So subtract the x on the left and subtract the 0.3 repeating on the right. And that gives us 9x equals 3. Okay. Nope. So then we divide by 9. 3 over 9
That can be simplified.
can be simplified to 1/3. So it is a 1/3 is 0.3 repeating. Okay. I think that's the only one of those on the test. Just have to do one, if I remember right. Okay. Number 2. Everybody good there? I'm going to erase this so I've got room. All right, number 2, circle each rational number. And so what is it that makes a number rational?
Repeating and terminating.
Repeating decimals or terminating decimals or
fractions.
fractions. Okay, so do you see a repeating decimal?
Yeah.
Yep, 9.68 is a repeating decimal. Do you see a fraction?
Yes.
I do too, right there. Do you see, there we go, a square root of a perfect square number. So perfect square number, we have made that list of perfect squares many times in the last couple of weeks, right? It would not be a bad idea for you to re-familiarize yourself with that. 1 squared is 1, 2 squared is 4, 3 squared is 9, and so on, right? It's very easy to make that list, so you should be able to do that, or at least make the squares that you need for this test. All right, number 3, how would you classify the number 125?
Perfect cube.
Okay, is it a perfect square? No, because 10 squared is 100, 11 squared is 121, and 12 squared is 144. So 125 is in between 11 squared and 12 squared. It is not a perfect square, so not a. Is it a perfect cube?
Yes.
Yes.
5 times 5 equals
5 cubed equals 125, so it is B. So if it's only B there, then it can't be C and it can't be D. So that'll be the same exact question that's on the test, but I'll change that number is what I'm going to do, right? So what if I put the number 36 on there?
Will it be in the same order, like perfect?
Yeah, the test, it'll be in the same order. I won't change the order of questions, but I'll just change the number. So what if I put the number 36?
Is 36?
If I change this to a 36, what do we got?
It's 6, so it's a perfect square.
It's perfect square, but not a perfect cube, right? What if I change that to 64?
Perfect cube and square?
it's both, right? It's 8 squared is 64 and 4 cubed is 64, so that would be both. Or what if I change it to 13?
Neither.
Then it's neither. Okay, so be ready for any one of those answers to be correct. I will change that number, and it could be, it'll be one of those 4 possibilities, okay? All right. Number 4, Carla's vet suggested that her new puppy have 64 square feet of exercise space. So Carla plans to use those dimensions to build an enclosed exercise pen in her backyard. That is a pampered puppy. Good for Carla. So how long will each side of the pen be?
4. No. 8.
So it is 64 feet squared, right?
Yeah.
So what do I do here?
You put a 2, or yeah.
Square root. Square root of 64 is
8.
8. So it's going to be an 8 by 8 pen. So 8 feet. So how much fencing does she need to buy?
8.
32.
There you go. 8 times 4. The pen will have 4 sides if it's a square. So that's 32. So it'll have 32 feet.
That makes sense.
Okay. All right. Everybody comfortable with page 1?
Yes.
Like anything on there that you just think, oh my gosh, I don't know what to do. All right, here we go. Page 2. What is the side length of this square? How do we solve that?
We do, okay, so S squared equals 81 or something like that.
S squared, because that's really bad handwriting there, even for me. Okay. Goodness gracious. All right, S squared equals 81. Then what?
And then we square root 81.
Square root, so the side length equals
9.
9, don't forget your labels, 9 meters.
Or 9 meters.
9 meters. All right, number 6. Solve the equation x squared equals 10.
Can't.
It would be
So it actually equals positive or negative 10 because 10 is not like a perfect.
All right. It's not a perfect square, so we leave it as a radical. And we want to make sure that we cover the positive value and the negative value.
Yeah.
Could be a positive 10 or a negative 10. Okay? A cube-shaped box has a volume of 64 cubic inches. If the box is packed full of cubes with edge lengths of 1 inch, how many cubes can fit along one side of the box?
60.
We doing cube root or square root?
Cube root.
Cube root. Cube root of 64 is
8. Like stack 4? Oh, yeah. 4.
4.
Yeah.
Cube root of 60, square root of 64 is, I tell you that 64 is the tricky number because you gotta make sure you're doing the right measurement on it, or the right operation on it. Okay?
4 times 4 is 16.
Yep. So it is 4, that would be B.
Wait, it's B? No, it said.
How many cubes
just
can fit along one
just
side?
along the side, not just like, I'm imagining a cube that's going like this, right? So 3
It
dimensional.
does not ask for the area of one face, it asks for how many cubes can fit along one side.
Okay, that was confusing.
Yeah.
My bad.
All right, number 8 and number 9 can get a little tricky if you're not sure what you're doing. So circle all the possible solutions for x if x squared is 16.
4.
4 and negative 4. Okay? So square root, we have to consider both possible signs. We have to consider positive and negative. What about the cube root of 216?
6 and negative 6, because the cube root of 216 is 6, because 6 times 6 times 6 is, oh, positive, wait, But it can be positive or negative. No, it can't because that's 3.
There you go. It would be,
Yeah, that
it
makes
can't
sense.
be -6 times -6 times -6 because that's 3 negatives. That would be 2 makes a positive and then a third one makes it back to negative. So this is incorrect. All right, so make sure on numbers 8 and 9 that you're looking at the signs. What if I switched, I told you I wouldn't switch the order. What if I did switch the order on this one? What if I asked cube here and square here? Don't just memorize what order they're in. Actually
Yeah,
look
we
at the
have to look at the
equations.
signs.
Look at the signs. All right,
I'm starting to not like numbers much.
oh, numbers are reliable. Darius is building a square launch pad for a rocket project. If the area of the launch pad is 121 square centimeters, what is the length of each side? And show some work on this.
Okay, so 121 squared. So you gotta put the radical, and then 11 times 11 equals 121. So 121 squared equals 11. So
Not 121 squared.
squared. Does it say cube? What?
No.
It says square centimeters.
Listen, I'm talking about the words you're using. When you say 121 squared, that means that.
Oh, 121.
Okay,
What
that
does
is
the radical mean? Like, how do you say that with the
square
radical?
root.
Oh, square root.
It's a
Yeah,
square
that makes
root of
sense.
121. Okay, you've got to say the right thing. If you got on your little Siri and you asked her what's 121 squared, she's not going to tell you 11. She's going to square 121. If you say what's the square root of 121, she'll tell you because you use the right words. All right, so don't use the wrong words and expect me to know what you meant. 121 square root is 11, so it needs to be 11 centimeters.
My bad.
It's all good. We got to make sure we use the proper vocabulary. Okay, number 11. I put the big hint in here on this one for you so that you make sure that you write the answer correctly because I don't want you to use a calculator on this one. I don't want you rounding this to some decimal place. I want you to leave it in radical form. So solve the equation x cubed equals negative 150. What do I need to do?
X cubed equals.
Oh, that's really bad. X cubed equals negative 150.
Radical symbol with the 3 here.
So 3 in the notch. There we go. We're taking the cube root of both of those. So x equals the cube root of negative 150. This is the answer right there. Okay?
Yeah, yes, sir.
Do not change that to a decimal. It will be counted wrong if you do that on this question. All right, the Murphy family is moving. They rented a moving van with a cube-shaped cargo area that is 1,000 cubic
100.
feet. So what is the length of the side of the cargo area?
10.
Cube root of 1,000 equals 10 feet. Now, their pool table has a length of 90, square root of 90 feet. Show how you know that the pool table will fit inside the truck. So I'm telling you it'll fit. You tell me how you know it will fit. So what have we been doing when we have a number like square root of 90 and it's not a perfect square?
It's between 2 numbers.
There we go. So what's the perfect square below 90?
9. Wait.
81,
81? Oh, those numbers.
90, and then 100, right?
Yes.
So if we take the square root of all those numbers, where does the square root of 90 end up being?
Closer
Doesn't matter closer. I don't care closer. I just want to know where it is.
between 9.
It's in between 9 and 10. So we have 9, and then we have the square root of 90 would be in between with 10. So if I know that the square root of 90 is less than 10, because it's in between 9 and 10, then that tells me that it'll fit. So if you have something like this, or you have square root of 90 is less than 10, I'm okay with that. either one of those tells me that you know that that will fit on the truck, okay? Don't change it to a decimal. That's not what we did with these kind of problems,
Right.
right? Don't just put it in your calculator and say, oh, square root of 90 is 9.5 or whatever it is. It's not how we did these.
Such a trickster, Mel.
Okay.
Something bad happened?
All right. So here we go. Last two problems here. Place these numbers in order from least to greatest. What do I do with these numbers to put them in order?
Math.
Change them to,
Decimal.
this is one where I want you to use a calculator, and I want you to change them into decimals so that you know the exact value so that you can put them in the right order, right? So how do I change, on my calculator, how do I change 20 over 3 into a decimal?
You would press
Divide
that
it.
green
Just divide it.
button.
20 divided by 3.
Oh, you got that
20 divided by 3. It would be 20 divided by 3 is 6.6 repeating. Okay?
And then you hit the square root button.
Okay, so 45 square root. Somebody help me out.
I think you'll do it.
How much? 6 point,
So
6.70. That's all you'll need. 6.70.
Next one you have to hit that green button and the one button.
There you go. So the next one, we got to take the cube root of 276.
You have to hit that green button and then that one.
Okay.
And then
6.5.
6.5 what? 6.51. And then we have 6.5 repeating.
Cool.
So now we've got them all as decimals, we can put them in order. So what's the smallest number?
6.5. Wait, no, because it's
6.51. So that's going to be, our first one needs to be cube root of 276. That's the first one on my list. What's the next one?
6.6. It's close enough.
The next one is 6.5.
6.5 repeating comes next. Okay, what's next?
6.6.
6.6 repeating, which would be 20 over 3. And the last one then is square root of 45.
I know the next one.
Okay, so make sure that when you write them in order, you write them in their original form. Don't give me the decimals in order. That's not what I asked you for. I asked you for these numbers in order. Okay? Alrighty. Why is pi considered to be an irrational number?
Because it doesn't repeat, it's not a squared root number, then it's not perfect square.
It doesn't terminate.
It does not repeat
You can't write it as a fraction.
or terminate. That's a good way of saying it. Several of you said those things. Does not repeat or terminate. You could say cannot be written as a fraction.
It's not perfect square.
All right.
We need to do a lesson on how to use
We do. I have actually done lessons on how to use calculators. So on the test, if you can tell me what you want to do on the calculator, you just don't know what button to hit, I can show you what buttons to hit. Now I'm not going to cut you. If you tell me I don't know what to do, I'm not going to tell you what to hit on the calculator. But if you tell me I need to take a cube root, but I can't find the button, I'll show you where the button is. I'll show you how to do that. Okay. So
I hate this bell.
there we go. All right. Let me.
Do you want